Before we get into today's episode, I want to take a minute to recognize one of our own, retired Battalion Chief Chad Hendrix. Chad had 31 years in the fire service, and just 1 week after retiring, Chad was diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer. He's got a long road ahead of him, and there's a fundraiser that's been started to help Chad and Amanda with the expenses that come with that. Andrew Denmon, who served alongside Chad with EMS for years, is taking orders for a specially designed T-shirt to support them. I'll have all that linked in the show notes in the description. If you're able, please support them. And more importantly, keep Chad and Amanda in your thoughts and prayers. All right, let's get to it. Everybody thinks they know what this job is. That is, until they get here. You go through school, you learn the skills, and you check all the boxes. You pass the test, and then you graduate. And somewhere along the way, you start thinking, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this. Then you show up on your first shift. You walk through the door, and you realize really quick that you're not ready. Not because you didn't try, not because you didn't learn anything, but because there's a difference between being trained and being in it. Nobody really explains that part. They don't explain what it feels like to walk into a station for the first time and to know everybody is watching you. They don't explain how fast you figure out what you don't know, or how quickly you go from feeling confident to just trying to not mess something up. And the truth is, every firefighter goes through it. Some just handle it better than others. So today we're talking about that first year, what you thought it was going to be, and what it actually is.
Boots hit the floor, jump in our gear, mask, gloves, door, screaming down the street.
Welcome to Wind the Q, the stories behind the sirens. I'm Lieutenant Dodson, engine officer here in Northwest Georgia. This podcast is about real conversations in the fire service. It's about the job, it's about the culture, and the lessons you only learn by being in it. And today we're talking about something every firefighter goes through, and not everybody talks about. That's your first year. What you thought it was going to be like versus what it actually is like. I've got firefighter Hollis with me today. Hollis, I appreciate you coming on. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the fire service.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to be here. Like Lieutenant Dodson here said, I'm firefighter Hollis. I've only been working with my department for a little over a year now, so I'm still pretty fresh, still pretty green. So, but yeah, man, it's awesome to be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Before we ever get to that first day, even before our first shift, before we walk into the station for that first time, we build this picture in our head of what we think this job is going to be like. And it's not that picture's wrong. It's just, it's not the full picture. It's not complete. You think about all the calls and the trucks and the skills and everything that you learn through rookie school and all of that time, and you start putting things together like, all right, so this is how this job's going to go. But there's a difference between understanding something and actually being good at it. And we see that every shift. People understand things, but that doesn't mean they're good at it. Leaders understand concepts, but that doesn't mean they project it the right way. So that's from firefighter to chief. That's the real deal. I think that's where it shifts for a lot of people because you don't really realize that until you get to that point. It's the fact that the job is bigger than just the calls. It's the people and the expectations and living the third day with them and the environment and the pace of the job and going from doing nothing to this atrocity of a call in 2 or 3 minutes. And everything changes from the second the tone drops. All the stuff nobody can really teach you ahead of time. So before you ever stepped into that first shift, and I'm pretty sure I remember your first shift. Yeah. But before you ever stepped into that first shift, what did you think this job was going to be?
I remember when, because a little backstory, me and my wife, we were living in Mississippi at the time, and I'd worked for a pretty popular cell phone company, doing sales for them, and it just wasn't working out too well for us, and or at least it was working out well as far as financially, but as far as mentally, it was pretty rough. And my wife, she was like, I'm missing home real bad, and I had visited, up here in Georgia a couple of times, and I liked it. I mean, it was a lot bigger city than what I was used to when I was growing up and stuff, and but I've always liked it, so I was like, you know what, let's do it. If you want to move back home, let's move back home. And so we started looking for jobs, and luckily her mom was able to get her into a position pretty quickly so that we weren't, struggling as far as money goes. And well, her mom also was like, hey, the fire department, they're hiring. They got some applications open. And I was like, what? Like, I've never thought about being a firefighter. Like, it's never crossed my mind. And at first I was like, nah, that's just not, I don't think that's the path that, God's calling me to go. And so time went on. We were getting stuff kind of ready to start moving and whatnot. And it just kept kind of like bugging me. And I'd pull up the application on the website, and I'd look at it, and I was like, man, what if I did? Like, what if I just threw, a resume at it just to see what happened? And I went from having this mindset of like, man, that just doesn't sound like me, to like, I started getting excited about it. And I knew then, I was like, man, this is the path that, God's calling me to go. And so I sent my application in. I didn't think anything too much about it. Wasn't sure if I was even going to hear anything back. And I did. I got an email giving me some dates to, come do my CPAT. And that was the first thing. And so we moved here in October of 24, and October the 1st. And my CPAT date, it was on the 14th, I believe. And I had no idea. Like, I had looked up some videos and stuff, and I get out there to the training center, and it looks nothing like the videos I saw on YouTube. And I mean, I think there was like 90 folks out there trying out for doing the CPAT. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is a lot. And I was one of the last groups to go, because they split it up into 2 days, and I was on the second day, and everybody's already talking about, like, man, we've had a lot of people fail. Like, we've had a lot of people not complete the course at all. And I'm sitting there like, well, I feel like I'm a pretty fit guy, and I like going to the gym, and I look around, I'm like, shoot, all these other guys, they look pretty fit. They look like they go to the gym. And so I'm watching people, they start their course, and then they go behind this thing. They got this huge tower out there. It's like 4 stories. It's real cool. A whole bunch of stuff in it. And they go around it. They do the first like 2 or 3 obstacles, no problem. And I'm like, well, maybe it ain't that bad. Maybe they're just, making a big deal out of it, getting me all worked up. And then I see them go around the tower. Next thing you know, they're getting escorted back over to the waiting station, and they're like, yeah, you didn't pass. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's just person after person after person. And there's people talking to me. They're like, yeah, well, I'm already a firefighter, so-and-so department, or I've been with the fire department, for so-and-so years. And then they go and take their turn, and they're coming back. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, what am I about to do? And so I get suited up, and they put, the gear and stuff on you, and I knock out the first 3 obstacles, and I walk around the tower, and I'm like, what is waiting for me behind here? And it's this big old dummy.
The hard stuff.
Yeah, it's the hard stuff. Yeah. And buddy, was it I was able to push through the first part, and I was able to drag the dummy and do all that other stuff. Well, they had this, I think it was a 2.5 inch hose line charged. It may have inch and 3/4. Yeah, inch and 3/4 charged hose line. And they were like, well, look, hey, all you got to do is just pull it down there past that little mark on the concrete.
But it's a long pull.
And it's a long pull.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that there was a technique to it at the time, because I learned later that you're supposed to grab the nozzle and grab a loop, and it makes it way easier. Well, me trying to be gung-ho, I just grab the nozzle and I take off. Well, the first 25 yards, I'm like, this is a breeze. Well, the guy that was walking with me, he was like, all right. He said, look, you about to have to bear down because this is about to get heavy fast. And about as soon as he got that out of his mouth, that hose line, it stood me up. And I lost all momentum. Yeah. And I started pulling back, and I started gaining momentum. And I mean, I was probably maybe 3 or 4 feet away from that little mark in the concrete, and I was not moving an inch. And I was like, I'm about to fail this freaking CPAT. And I was like, no, I ain't about to. No, I ain't walking back to that tent. And so I mean, I just dug deep, and I swear it felt like my nose was inches from the ground. I was getting so I put it in 4 low and just went.
You don't see very many people get to 3 or 4 feet shy of that mark and stop and ever finish. Yeah. It's too much. You've got 96 feet behind you, charged to get moving again. It's tough.
Man, I like it. I bared down. I got it over to that mark, and I was like, all right, I think I got the rest of it, and luckily I did. My time wasn't anything to gawk at, that's for sure. But after that, man, it was, we did our test, and then we did our round of interviews and stuff, and I was like, well, man, at this point, I got to leave it up to God, Yep. And I got that call back, and they were like, man, we'd love to have you, and I was like, man, that is like a prayer answered, a blessing. And then I'm thinking, well, that was the hardest part. Yeah. And little did I know that was the very tip of the iceberg.
As far as physically, maybe physically, but then the mental part of it, and even the spiritual, part of it. It's emotionally, like it was nothing. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It's a lot. I started the same way. I was in construction for years, and I got to the point where I really wanted to come to the fire service. But I had kids, and I was locked into this job. I'd been there for years, and I knew if I didn't do it right now, like, I wasn't going to do it. I'd be stuck at where I was at. And went through the process and got it. And I think I was 32 then. So it was hard. But I remember you talked about being just short of that mark, pulling that charge line. It was during rookie school, so it was a little bit later, but I remember getting to a point, we were doing Connex maze, and I remember getting to the point where I was hung up between some rafters in the ceiling, couldn't move. I was running out of air. It's a controlled environment. Yeah. But I had to make a decision in that moment, like, do I quit and go back to what I was doing because it's so much easier than this? Or do I keep pushing? And I kept pushing and finished it. But I think everybody at some point reaches a wall where you have to decide, how bad do you want it? And it may be during the CPAT. It may be later during rookie school, or it may be on a call later. But you've got to decide, all right, how bad do I want this? And that determines if you need to actually be here or not.
It really does. I'd agree. Because, I mean, I like I was saying, like when I got done with the CPAT and the hiring process and stuff, I thought that, I didn't even know rookie school was a thing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know. I thought they were just going to, keep me at the station, show me the ropes at the station, and, that's just how it went. And, next thing I know, they're like, oh, well, now y'all are going to rookie school for 10 weeks. And I'm like, what?
Like nobody said anything about that?
I was like, oh well, that's, I was like, all right, well, that's cool. And we got down there to rookie school, and that's when it was really like physically demanding, mentally, emotionally. Cause I went from being able to come home every night and crawl in bed with my wife and hang out with her to, I'm gone for the whole week. And then I only get to see her on the weekends. And then there's some weekends she's working. So, there's weekends where I'd come back from rookie school and I didn't even get to see her. Next thing I know, I'm headed back Sunday night. And so, I mean, it was tough on not only me, but her as well, you know, me not being home. And there was a few days in rookie school where I was like, man, I really just wish I was home with my wife right now. But I was like, you know, this is only for a moment. It's only for a season. It's necessary. And if I can just get through it, you know, not only am I going to be a better person for it, but I also get to keep my job. Yeah, that's true. And I was like, and then, you know, I think my wife would be so proud of me. Yeah. And so just those thoughts of her being proud of me and just becoming something more than myself, it kept pushing me through, because I kind of had the same, like I found out real fast come, I think it was like week 4 when we started doing confined space training and stuff. I found out real fast that I did not like confined spaces, and I had some moments where I literally is the funniest part of rookie school was every time we got ready to go do a confined space training simulation or test out or whatever, I'd pray to God. I'd say, Lord, just turn me into a lizard. and he did. You know, I got through it and everything, and I still ain't a fan of confined space training, but I can do it more confidently now, you know, knowing just how my gear moves and how big I am and what I can and can't do as far as getting in and out of spaces. So it's just one of those things, and I mean, it circles back to, yeah, I mean, I honestly had no idea what to expect, because every time I got to a point where I was like, oh, well, this is how this job's going to be, something else would happen. I'm like, never mind. I have no idea again.
I know it. You just mentioned something, and I talked about it in episode 4. Say you're a firefighter without saying you're a firefighter, but I mentioned in it, you know, somebody stops by the station and we're chilling out, but we're in full gear, breathing air, and we're doing whatever. It's all about acclimation and learning what your gear will do for you. And that's another huge thing. That's kind of where I was at in the Connex during rookie school, is I'm still in that process of learning, all right, this is going to protect me. That's what it's made for, you know, and I've got this air pack on and I'm good. They can get me out of here at any point, but it's all mental. It's working through that mental stuff and knowing that you are okay. You just got to keep moving. So, yep. So good stuff. That's kind of how you got started, and that's how a lot of people come into it. I think they have this picture of what they've seen on TV or whatever it is. You know, you don't ever know the whole story, but nobody ever sits down and says like, hey, this is what it's going to feel like. This is what you're going to go through. This is what you're going to have to deal with. Every time you get something figured out, something new is going to slap you in the face, like you said a while ago. But that's the way it is. So, all right, so was there a moment that all of the things we just talked about kind of hit you?
So, yeah, I mean, honestly, it was the first shift that, you know, I got out of graduation, or I graduated from the fire academy. We went through some basic training stuff at the station. Then finally, we get put on the truck. And my first shift was a Monday. And if I don't know how other departments do, but our department on Mondays you do your full truck check off. I mean, you take everything off of it. You make sure it's clean. You make sure it's working right. Make sure if it needs fuel in it, it's got fuel in it. If it needs, you know, if there's screws loose, those need to be tightened. And you do it for every single truck that you have in the bay. Yeah, everything. Like that, you don't leave anything unchecked. Yep. And I remember you know, the morning I'm scared to death. You know, I don't know anybody. I don't know any of these guys on this shift. You know, I saw a few of them just passing by and whatnot, and I don't really know anybody's name. Well, there's one guy there. Me and him share the same first name, and we're setting up the tower, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like I'm like, man, like, and well, so I walk up to this guy, And, you know, I knew his first name, and I was like, man, you know, it's nice to meet a fellow Adam. And I went out to shake his hand, and he was like, don't touch me. I don't know you. And man, he may have dropped some other choice words in there with that, but I was like, oh snap! Like, I was like, man, this isn't. I was like, there's like, it does not matter what I did in rookie school. Like, it doesn't matter what I did on a CPAT. Like, because I mean, at rookie school, man, I went out there and ended up, you know, finishing as a class lead. You know, I was over. I think we graduated with 31, and I mean, I was over all of them. I ended up getting some big cool award, and I thought I was hot stuff.
But once you graduate, nobody cares.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. You know, you get a couple pats on the back from admin, and it turns out that not too many people care what admin think. No. So and then it turns out, you know, that only lasts for a little bit, and then you get on a truck, you get on a crew, and they don't care what you did at rookie school. And so for me to go out there and be like, oh, you know, I'll try to be, you know, a nice guy, and, you know, introduce myself, and this guy don't even care for the introduction or nothing. And I was like, wow. I was like, man, that's what a way to start this, you know.
And what's funny though is that's not really him
at all.
Like, that was
all. Like that
was first day stuff.
Like, that was just first day. Like I worked like.
That's
man,
awesome.
It was looking back on it now, it's funny. But in the moment, I was like, oh no,
yeah,
I may have messed up. Like I may have chose the wrong profession.
Oh, that's funny. That's the part that a lot of people don't expect about this. And it's not that you didn't learn anything in rookie school. Like we said a while ago, once you get to that first day and you walk in the station and you have interactions like that, it's not that we think, well, he didn't learn nothing in rookie school. This guy's still green as he can be. It's just the job moves so fast. Things change so fast. And even though rookie school is awesome, there's still some things being taught that, you know, it's outdated. Yeah. Things have moved past that. Things have progressed and got better. And I think you understand that once you're on the truck and you're actually seeing how things work. So there's a difference there. So I think you spend that first little bit just trying to catch up and figure out people, you know, like the other Adam.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how people take you and how you need to take them, and still trying to perform and be a good worker and all that stuff. Like I said, that's where it starts to change for people, but that's where you learn it's not so much about what you know, but how you carry yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's a moment that's usually pretty early where everything shifts. You walk in that first day, everything that felt familiar up to this point doesn't feel familiar anymore. It's the same jobs, the same skills, it's just a different environment. And I think that's what throws people off. You realize how quick you're the new guy. You've went through rookie school, and like you talked about finishing top of your class, and you've built this rapport and this relationship with all the people in rookie school. And you feel like through that process, you've become somewhat of a veteran through that rookie process. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're on the truck and you're the newest of the new green guy.
Yeah. Like the rug gets swept out from underneath.
Totally different. Yeah. Different set of expectations. Nobody's really, I don't know, this is a two-edged sword. Nobody's telling you what to do, but in another sense, they're telling you everything to do, if that makes any sense at all. It's weird because we want to figure out what you know and what you learn. So we try to let you do it on your own for a while. But of course, if there's things that need to be said, then we do that also. But at a minimum, everybody's watching you and they're trying to figure out where you stand, what you know. For you, from that perspective, you know, you're trying to figure out where everything's at. And me and Captain Swansea talked about this in the last episode. Even if you're in a sergeant position and you get promoted to lieutenant, there's still a period, or lieutenant to captain, or whatever the case is, there's still a period where, even though I've been at this department for 8 years or 10 years or whatever the case may be, I move into this new role with new expectations and new responsibilities, and I still have to take time to figure out where all that comes together.
Yeah.
And it's even, it's magnified as a brand new guy coming on a truck. You're trying to figure out where things are and what's expected and how the day goes. And you come in on a Monday, which is usually biggest day of the week or busiest. And there's so much stuff going on. A lot of times we do all of this truck stuff, and we also may have a pub ed event that same morning, or we're hose testing, or we're doing whatever. Mondays are usually a really, really busy day, especially for a first day coming in.
Yeah.
So you're doing all that, and you're trying to not look like you're lost as last year's Easter egg.
I mean, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, you want to look like you want to impress everybody, but you're kind of wandering around thinking, what the crap am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
So my first day was on a Sunday. So I had always, like I said, I worked in construction and stuff. And if you're not moving and you're not doing something, you're not making money and you're not making progress. Well, Saturdays and Sundays are
chill days.
Chill days. Nothing on the schedule. We run calls. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Well, I come in on Sunday, and it's a super slow Sunday. And I remember I went to the bathroom 5 times. We ended up running a fire alarm late in the day, but we watched TV all day. Yeah. It was the weirdest thing ever. And then your very next shift is middle of the week, and you're wide open. It's a huge contrast. So Mondays and Sundays are not the best day to start.
No, and man, that first shift is just, like I said, I came in, it's a Monday, and I didn't really know at the time that that the whole Monday is because it's not just truck checks, you're sitting there, you got to check off your generators, you got to check off all your school cars, you got to make sure everything around the station's looking good too. You got to wash the bay floors. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I remember they said, all right, well, after lunch we're gonna go wash the bay floors, and I'm like, what? How do you wash a bay floor?
With a mop.
Well, I found out fast. I found out real quick how you wash a bay floor, and oddly enough, that's probably one of the most therapeutic parts of Monday.
Can be
is washing the bay floor, because it feels like you're just getting it, you're checking everything off, and then finally, man, I love squeegeeing the water into the drain. Man, that's pretty satisfying. It's pretty therapeutic.
It can be, and that kind of marks, or it did for me anyway. That marks the end of that Monday.
Yeah,
you have run all day long doing all this stuff, and the shifts leading up to a Monday, sometimes you can dread it because it's just so much. But doing bay floors and squeegeeing kind of marks the end of that super busy day. Yeah. So, I get that. Something else that hits people early is the culture. And it's not something that you can explain ahead of time. Every station is different. Every crew is different. We've mentioned this before. If you catch overtime or you work a swap and you end up on a different shift, it seems like it really shows up at supper time.
Yeah.
But how it can all these crews and these shifts work for the exact same department, but they're so different in how they operate is amazing.
It's kind of a culture shock.
It is, to go from one shift to the other. Yeah, absolutely it is. Expectations are way different, and leadership styles tremendously different. What is expected from the officer? It's crazy. Expectations may not always even be talked about, but usually they're pretty clear. However, sometimes the expectations have to be spelled out letter by letter. Even if it's something as simple as when to wear your pants.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been waiting on that since you walked in here.
I was thinking about it on the way up here. Oh, man.
So while on shift, we work out. And sometimes you end up running a call with your workout clothes on. You just throw your turnout pants on and you do your thing. Keep your turnout pants on till you get back to the station.
Yeah, don't direct traffic in bright white
Don't do
shorts.
Nope.
On a pretty busy street.
Yeah, theoretical, of course.
Completely theoretical. Just if you're listening and you're an upcoming rookie, just don't do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep your gear on until you get back to the station.
That's right. Every time.
Every time.
On those, that's so funny. Wasn't funny at the time. It's funny now. Back to the unspoken expectations. So you start picking up on these things pretty quick, and it's when you need to talk and when you don't. Things that matter and things that don't, and where you fit into it. What's the biggest adjustment for you inside the station on a crew level, day-to-day shift work level? What was your biggest adjustment?
I mean, physically speaking, it's like where everything is. Because I mean, you have an expectation of you're a rookie. You're basically a little bit better than a housemaid.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to know where all your cleaning supplies is. You got to know how to clean. You got to know how your crew wants it cleaned. And kind of the expectations of that, and then you go to different stations and it's completely different, like where the cleaning supplies is, how they clean and whatnot. But definitely that was a learning process for me, because I mean, when you're at your house, you may clean a little differently, but you may not be as thorough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's your living space, You don't really expect people to, just come up in your house and immediately go to your toilet and make sure you scrubbed your toilet clean.
Mm-hmm.
But, at the station, that's expected.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as, it also just depends on, what day of the week it was. I remember this is another funny thing about my first shift was, for some reason, and I kind of blame the guys that was working with me.
Of course.
They let me bring, or maybe they didn't know. I feel like they may have, but I carried a radio around with me all day.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we got told that, hey, go to bed, Hollis, I took that radio in there with me to the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I turned that joker all the way up because I was scared to death that I was going to miss a call.
Yeah, we all were.
And, I'm sitting there. I didn't know how the tones worked. I didn't know that station, the station I was at had its own, tone.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know that our department had its own tone.
Yeah.
And then also you have county. They're also toned out on the same radio wave,
right.
And so it's. So needless to say that that first night I didn't get much sleep.
Yep, that's normal.
And because every time I got my eyes closed,
I remember
toned out.
Like my first for a month. Like I remember sleeping in full uniform. All I had to do was stand up and put my boots on, and I'd sleep with the light on in my bedroom.
Yeah,
because I thought that would keep me from sleeping too deep,
Yeah.
I was worried to death about sleeping through a call. And it happens at some point. Obviously if it becomes routine, then it's an issue. But at some point, you're going to sleep through one. And usually it happens if you run a call at 1 o'clock and then you come back and you run another one at 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it happens.
Yeah.
But, I remember being scared to death I was going to sleep through tones. Oddly
enough, just getting on, I've actually went back to sleeping in my uniform a little bit.
Yeah, some people do it.
I guess it's just more that I guess I can sleep a little bit better knowing that when the tones do drop, I don't have to rush and get my pants on. Like I already have my pants on. I just got to put my boots on and go.
Just a little security thing.
So, but that being said, you also got to be at a station where the air conditioning works.
Ooh, good point. I like that point.
Because if you're at a station where the AC doesn't work, then
it could be 76 degrees in your bedroom.
I mean, you're sweating.
Yeah.
So at that point, layers start coming off fast.
That's right.
Fast. You may even get your fan and get your covers and pull it over your fan.
That has happened. That has 100% happened. I got a process, so it works out pretty good.
But no, I mean, as far as adjustments and stuff, it being just inside the station, we're not talking calls, we're not talking, training or anything like that. It's a big adjustment.
It is.
I mean, you go from. I mean, I know I could easily say I feel like a lot of people in their lives, there's not a lot of discipline in their lives.
Yeah.
And I can say that just because, I mean, you walk into so many people's houses on these calls, and a lot of those houses are not well maintained and
zero discipline.
And so for you to come from an area that, you don't have a lot of discipline, and the next thing you know, you're turning around and what you do is immediately affecting the guys around you in your station. You take on a lot of responsibility. You take on a lot of you got to have that discipline. And I mean, as a rookie, you're thinking, well, man, I'm just a rookie. Like, what does it matter? Like what am I going to do that's going to affect these guys around me? And it turns out it's a lot.
Yeah, everything.
And because just as much as you're looking on your crew for direction and guidance, and how do I do this? How do I do that? What do I do here and there? They're looking at you. Hey, and I mean, it sounds funny, but why aren't the dishes done?
Yeah.
Why aren't the floors swept? Why aren't why is there pee stained on the toilet?
Got to be standard.
And you got to have that standard.
Yeah.
And what you don't realize at that moment is those small things, such as cleaning or doing the dishes or whatever. It's building you up to have more discipline.
Yeah.
And it's also building you up to get you ready for the responsibility of becoming a firefighter, not just a rookie.
That's right.
So it's just one of those things, man. It's a character builder.
It is. It's amazed me how I have a routine. I have a routine every day, whether I'm at the station or not. But on shift days, my routine starts from the minute I open my eyes. Like that's what I do. And if anything deviates from that routine, I feel like I'm running late or something ain't right. It's weird. But I think that's just something that builds over time. I thought about while you were talking, the culture shock of, you live with your family and you have this normal job, and then you go through rookie school and you spend all these, 8 to 5 or whatever every day with these people. And then all of a sudden you start this every third day. We do 24 on, 48 off. Yeah. To immediately one morning walk into a station and you take on basically a second family. A third of your life, and you may like them, you may not like them, but that's your family for a third of your life until something changes.
Yeah, at least a year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe not. So.
And lots of times we do shakeups yearly, not department wide, but we have to maintain staffing for teams and different things, advanced EMT or the way our trucks are staffed or whatever. If we have some promotions, it may change, but other than that, you're with who you're with. And we don't get along every shift.
Yep.
We get on each other's nerves, and it's normal.
Man, that's what families do.
So yeah, that's a huge culture shock. So let's talk about work ethic for just a minute. So you can tell pretty quick on this job, like who's there to work and who's there to not work.
To be there.
Make a check. This ain't just a job. I think you need to be called into this. It's more than just a job. And some people, they come in on shift, they do their 24, they go home, and they don't think about it at all until next shift. But you learn who those people are. the truth is, it doesn't take long for people to figure you out. Really, nobody cares what you say. You can say, I can do this or I can do that. We're watching, we mentioned this a little bit earlier, we're watching what you do. I don't care that you tell me you can clean a toilet better than anybody.
Yeah.
I want to see you clean a toilet better than anybody. And that carries over to everything, trucks, calls, whatever. Initially, nobody puts a lot of stock in what you say. We want to see you do it. And as a rookie, that's what matters. We know that you don't have a ton of experience yet in this side of it. So it's kind of proving where you at. And we have to learn to respect you, what you know. You have to learn to respect us and what we do and what we know and our experience. It's not just you come in the door and you're going to respect us because I'm an officer or I'm a driver or whatever. It works both ways. It should work both ways.
Yeah. Does
it always? Probably not. But when did all of that click for you? That you've got this training, but you don't have real world on the truck experience yet. And you're kind of figuring this out as you go over your first year.
I guess I wouldn't say it started on that first shift, but the reality of it setting in that like you said, I could tell these guys, I can clean the toilet better than all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Or, I remember I remember even saying in my interview, one of our training captain, he asked me, he said, why should we choose you over, these other guys that we got, lined up? And I looked at him and I said, well, I'm the best. I'm the best out. And then, you kind of say, you can say whatever, you can blow as much smoke up somebody's butt as you want to.
That's right.
But until you prove it and show them that you can,
nothing matters.
Nothing matters. And that's kind of the hardest part at that super early stage of being a rookie is, you just got out of rookie school. You can, put a fire out. You can advance a hose line. You can do a search. You can climb through confined spaces. You can do all these things that they taught you at rookie school, but your crew don't know that for certain. All they know is you passed rookie school and you're here now.
Yeah.
And, so for you to basically, all that credit, kind of like how you said earlier, you build up this, you build up this rapport with all these guys that look at you and, all your rookie buddies, they know that you can do all the things you're saying.
Yeah.
But, those guys at the station that's been working there for, 5, 10, 15 plus years, they don't care. They don't know what you can and can't do until you prove it to them.
That's right.
And the bad thing about it is, there's really not many chances that you get at that beginning stage to prove to them that you can do it. You may find some opportunities here and there during, training, or if you go do drills or something out at the training yard, or if you do some, training scenarios there at the station, you can kind of prove it to them then. But until the real thing happens, you really can't show them that you know what you know. And then the other side of that is when you get to those spots and those real world, real case scenarios, you realize real fast that you actually don't know.
That's right.
As much as you think you do.
Yep.
And honestly, when that realization hits, it's a punch to the gut.
Yeah, I believe that. So you get all these basic skills, and there's this other side of running calls where it's just a medical call. Yep. And you can walk in and, they've been deceased since yesterday, and we can walk in and call a coroner and help them and do what needs to be done. Anybody can do that. That's not hard. That's basic stuff. But the other side of that is being empathetic to people.
Yep.
And being able to, we've mentioned turning that switch on and off before. I've run calls with a lot of people who could do the job to a T, no question, but there was no empathy for the family or the patient, or, even in a structure fire situation where they've just lost everything. Yeah, we go in, we do our job, but interact with the people, if that makes sense.
Because, that is a part of it that I remember, my first structure fire, I won't get into the specifics of how that went. Let's just say for me, it wasn't as ideal as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
But, you're finally there. You're at the big one. You're at what you signed up for. This is everything that you've been training for.
Yeah.
And it all clicks, and it's right there in front of your face. And you look around, and your guys are just killing it. Me personally, I'm running around with it like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited.
Yeah.
My adrenaline's going. I want to be everywhere at once, and that's just not how it goes. And
heart rate's about 150, and you got ice on your bottle.
And you're getting it, and then you're not getting it, and then you're getting it, and you're not getting it. And, you're looking at all your other trucks and all your other crews, and they're just knocking it out. Man, you want to be excited for them.
Yeah.
You want to be pumped up and laughing and, yee-hawing and stuff, but you got to remember, that there's somebody over there that just lost their house.
Yeah.
Or that they lost all their belongings inside that house, or, even, worst case scenario, they lost somebody.
Yeah.
That they love. And you have to flip that switch on fast.
Yes, that's true.
And it's hard. It really is to go from, you're waiting on it all shift. You want a structure fire.
Yeah.
You want to show people that you can do your job and you can do it dang good.
Yeah.
And when you do it good, you want to be excited. You want to be pumped up about it.
Yeah.
But you got to remember it's not just you. It's not just you and your crew. It's not just you and and your coworkers or your other crews. It's you and that person that just lost everything.
Yep.
And to flip that switch on and stay aware of that. That's something that there is no training in the world for.
Yeah, that's hard.
So,
yeah, that is tough. And it's not about the big things. It's about the small things. It's mostly just about consistency. It's about doing what needs to be done without being told, without complaining about it. And in its simplest form, be early every shift. Like that is the simplest form of that consistency that I can possibly think of is just be early.
Yeah.
Don't show up at 5 minutes till 7 or 5 minutes till shift change.
Just go off that, and I can't say, I don't know what the rest of my crew thought, but I made a point, and I still make a point I want to be there. I want to be the first person there on my crew. And I think I gained at least a little bit of respect from my first crew that I was always there. If not the first one, and no, I was either the second one.
Yep. You did earn some respect from your crew for that. I'm pretty sure. And that's what it does. That is the first initial step to building that respect. Like you said a while ago, there's not tons of opportunities. So you have to take those opportunities where you can get them, and that's one of the easiest first things you can do. Be early, be consistent, and people see it.
Yeah. Make opportunities.
Yeah. If you have to, do that.
Don't force it, because then it looks a little strange.
It does, but I get what you're saying.
But, if there's an opportunity to show, I can prove to these guys that I know a little bit about what I'm doing.
Yep.
Try to take it.
That's right.
And now if you mess up, just get ready.
It's coming. Speaking of messing up, that don't get talked about a whole lot. And I don't know if people are afraid that's going to come out. Or people are, and even once you've been here a while, if I go to Gypstick, I don't want to go down there and mess up. Yeah. I want people to say, oh man, that guy, he's got it together.
Yeah.
So lots of times we worry because we go down there for a class and we feel like, well, I'm already supposed to be a pro at this. Well, I ain't had a class yet.
Nope.
So you're going to mess up. It's not a possibility of messing up. It's probability. It's going to happen. That's just part of it. Early on, those mistakes feel bigger than they actually are. I hadn't been here a couple of weeks, and we've got some old wooden ladders around our station. And one of the halyards on one of them were frayed out and whatever. I was going to fix it and broke it, and this ladder is like 500 years old. And I broke the halyard off of it, and I thought, oh, man, this is terrible. They're going to fire me. Wasn't a big deal. We fixed it. But those tiny little mistakes that you make feel huge when you're that new. We're still trying to prove ourselves, and we're still trying, like we said a while ago, we're still trying to figure all these things out. And all of those mistakes that you make early, they stick with you for years. Like, you remember the things that you did that didn't turn out the way that it should have. And that's good, because that starts to mold us and shape us into how to do things better.
Yeah.
So this is going to be funny.
Yeah.
What's some things that you messed up that ended up teaching you something?
So, I mean, right out of the gate, there's a theoretical thing that may or may not have happened with some gym shorts.
Yeah.
So, if that happened to somebody, I would definitely let them know that, to like I was saying earlier, man, keep your gear on until you get back to the station.
Yep.
Another thing is, and this is kind of one of those things, it's not if it happens, it's when it happens. You're going to get caught up in the moment, heading to the truck, and if you like to put your boots and your pants outside the truck, you might want to second guess it. You might want to put them in the truck.
Okay.
Because, sometimes you get in the moment, you get a good call come out, and, you're excited, especially early on. It feels like every call that comes through, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And, you run down there and you hop up in the truck, you close the door, and y'all are on the way.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you get done with, whatever call you run, and, another truck may or may not come out there, and that other truck may or may not have grabbed your boots and stuff and brought them with them.
Yeah. And
put it outside and said, hey, Hollis left his boots out in the bay floor. and that's it. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal to everybody else, because everybody's done it.
Yeah.
At some point, everybody's left a piece of equipment back in the bay, and most times it's your boots. But
it's a sinking feeling to roll into the back of the bay and see your boots sitting in the bay floor.
Yeah. Or have somebody bring them to you.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
too.
that would be bad too if that ever happened.
And so you kind of sit there and you're like, man, you start beating yourself up.
Yeah.
Because you think like, well, man, I was on my P's and Q's and now I messed up huge. You think it's this huge mess up, and sometimes it is. If we would have caught you don't want that to happen on a structure fire. You don't want that to happen on a big wreck or something, because then you do. Because at that point, you have to say something. You got to say, I left this at the station. And then your lieutenant or your officer is going to look at you and say, well, look, you got to sit in the truck.
Yep.
And, that's something that you don't want to put yourself through.
That's a terrible place to be.
And not only you're going to beat yourself up so bad, but, that's one thing about, a fire department is word spreads like wildfire.
Does it now?
And I'm telling you, you'll thinking, oh man, well, hopefully nobody will figure this out, and then you take your 48 off, and you come back here on your next shift, and everybody knows about it.
That's right. That's the way it works.
And so definitely, double check yourself, go back and even triple check yourself, make sure you got everything you need for any call at any point, because you could be going to a run of the mill medical call, and then I mean, you get back in the truck, next thing you know, a structure fire tones out. And if you ain't got your equipment, I mean, like I said, you're going to sit in the truck.
Yep.
And
that's one thing. And going back to routines that we talked about earlier. So I've got my helmet, I've got my face piece bag, I've got my coat, I've got my pants, and then I've got a little bag that I always put on the truck with like deodorant and socks and stuff in it. So I know when I go to my locker in the morning, I've got 5 things I need to tote to the truck. And typically I have 4 of them on my left arm and I've got my boots in my right hand. And it's just not to say I've never left something, because it's happened, but that simplifies it for me and becomes part of that routine.
Yep.
I very seldom stage my boots and pants outside the truck. They're usually up by my seat. And that way, if we catch a structure fire or a wreck, I've got to take them out of the truck and put them on.
Get hands on.
Yeah, but if it's anything else, they stay in the truck. But it happens. Also, if we catch a call where I need to get in my gear, I'm a thrower. The boots I have on, like station boots, they get thrown somewhere in the truck, and my phone goes one direction, and like crap goes everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But that's what works for me. Now, it don't work for everybody, but that helps me know where everything's at and that it's where it needs to be.
Yeah, definitely getting in a routine will definitely help more than it will hurt you. Another thing, so, I mean, we've talked about some just small things, stuff that really hadn't much consequence, but I did have a pretty good little mess up on my first structure fire. It bangs out and you get the tone, residential structure fire, and your heart just goes from 60 beats per minute to 140 plus.
Yep.
And you're like, man, this is the one. This is it. It's crazy. And it gets even crazier when you start heading towards the address and you look up and, I mean, you can see the header. Yep. You're like, oh my gosh.
I guess this is real.
This is happening.
Yep.
And so then next thing you know, me, I'm trying to be a proactive rookie. I don't want to have to be told what to do. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Is, it's better for me not to have to told what to do, but that is wrong.
Yeah.
It is your job to be told what to do as a firefighter.
It is.
And
that makes it even harder to prove yourself.
And it does, but part of proving yourself is being able to be told, what to do. And so we rolled up on that structure fire, and, what you're supposed to do as a rookie is you hop out and you immediately look at your lieutenant or your officer, and he tells you, hey, this is what we're going to do. Well, on the way in, I hear some, radio traffic about we got a hydrant across the street. And so, me being a rookie, I'm like, well, you know what? I can catch that hydrant. And that way, I mean, that's a one-person job. In my head, that's a one-person job. We'll have, 10 to 12 other folks doing what they need to do. And if I can get us water supply, then that's one less thing we got to worry about. And so I hop out. And
that's an awesome sounding plan.
It is. It went so well in my head. Well, then, I hop out and I grab some LDH and I run over there and I put it on the hydrant, and little did I know I put it on there wrong, and or I addressed the hydrant wrong. But I got done catching that hydrant, and I walk back around to my engine, and it's just me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my gut sank, and I'm like, oh man. In that moment, did you expect your officer to still be standing there waiting on you? Yeah. There was a part of me that was like, well, I'll get done with this, and I'll walk around the engine, and then we'll start doing whatever we need to get done.
Okay.
And little did I know at the time that is not what you're supposed to do. That's called freelancing. And you only freelance on Fridays. And
freelance Friday.
And I'm just kidding. Don't freelance at all. But I walk around the engine, and there is nowhere for my my officer is nowhere to be found, and me being green and not really understanding chain of command, I saw my battalion chief, which is about as high up the chain of command as you can go, and I walked over to him, and he's trying to run the scene, and I'm like, "Hey, you seen Lieutenant?" And there were some choice words said to me, and so I just parked my butt in the front yard and waited for my lieutenant. And luckily, praise the Lord, my lieutenant found me, and then we were able to go to work. And so that one was okay. Yeah, like that's a mess up.
Well, I've got to ask you at this point, because you brought this story up. So you walk back around the truck expecting your lieutenant to be standing there. What was he doing the whole time you were lost in the front yard?
He was doing what we were supposed to be doing. So he had, which is another thing. As a rookie, you're the one that's supposed to pull the cross lay.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff. And because I went and freelanced and did a poor job at catching a hydrant and got cussed out by my battalion chief, my lieutenant had to pull his own cross lay and pull it all the way to the back of the house, where he then gave it to a different crew to let them have fun and get to fight fire where I was supposed to be fighting my first fire.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That word, like I said, the word spreads fast.
So I wasn't sure where you went.
Yeah.
In that moment, I didn't know you went to the hydrant.
Yeah.
I just knew you went around the truck, and I wasn't sure what you were doing. But the captain, who was first on scene, was completing his 360, and I said, "Hey, what do you need?" And he said, "Let's get a line to the back of the house." So I wasn't sure where you were, so I pulled a line and went to the back of the house, and there was a lot of fire back there. That's where the bulk of the fire was at. It started there and it worked its way inside the structure. But yeah, when I got back there was a lot of fire, and I flowed water for less than a minute, and a different crew come around there, and I said, "Here, you can have this. I'm gonna go find my wayward firefighter." So we walked back around, and if I remember right, we finished that whole scene. It was hot. Yeah. That day, but we finished that whole scene. Everybody went back in service, and then we got called back out, and that wasn't our first due district. So I don't remember exactly what happened, but we ended up back out for what they called a rekindle.
Air quotations, rekindle.
Yeah, and it ended up being, I think, 1 2x4 truss was smoldering or something. Wasn't nothing to it. So we took a can in. You got to fight some smolders with a can, and that ended up being your extent of fire attack that day.
Yeah, my right? First fire. I got to put out a 2x4 with a water can.
And in that, I mean, you did a good job. It stopped smoldering before we left.
We put it out.
So
Slayed the dragon.
Yeah. Okay. Dragon, lizard.
Gecko.
Yeah. So yeah, I do remember that fire, and that's a good illustration of where you are early in your career.
Yeah.
And every one of us were there, but you come off the truck and you're, like you said, your heart rate's through the roof and your adrenaline's dumping. And I've run structure fire. Well, let me back up just a little bit. So a few years ago, we had a guy who went through rookie school, done, first day on the truck. And like you're trying to figure it out. You don't know how to take people and all of this stuff. Well, we shift change at 7 o'clock. At 9 o'clock in the morning, we catch a structure fire and confirmed. We're second in. We stop, catch a hydrant, lay a line down the road, laid LDH. Got down there, helped them pull a skid load, put the fire out. But for this one individual, we caught the hydrant. We laid our line, And when we made it actually on scene, he was done. He went in the back of the truck and was on O2. And he was a big, strong guy, but that's just how the adrenaline dumped.
Yeah.
And that's all the work that he specifically did on that scene was hooked to the hydrant. So we get through all of that, and we get back to the station that evening, and we're just talking about it. And he said, why didn't we catch that hydrant or dress that hydrant the right way, the way we were supposed to? And I said, we did. And he said, I don't hardly remember any of that. Like, that is how real this adrenaline dump is.
Yeah.
We got off the truck and we did everything by the book, and we laid this line, and he didn't, like, he was blurry that whole time. Yeah. And then didn't really do any work once we got on scene. Yeah. He sucked O2 the whole time. But yeah, I mean, it's a real, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
But all of these issues, and we talked about mistakes that are made, whether they're small, tiny little things or whether they're huge, it's all part of that growth process and building. And there's no better feeling than getting maybe a couple of years in, and you get to the point where you can manage all of that, and you run a structure fire. Even you see the header coming down the road. We all get excited still, but you can control your adrenaline and your emotion, and you can keep your mind in the right place. And you make entry and you start watching the fire and learning from what it's doing.
Yeah.
That is the best feeling ever. You can go in and your heart rate's not 150. Yeah. Like, that is an awesome place to be. But it's all part of the growing process. Some people take these things personal. They do something dumb and they get corrected, and it changes them because they take it so personal. It's not it's not a jab personally. It's business. It's a part of that process.
Yeah.
The issue comes when we repeat the same mistakes over and over, and we've seen that where somebody just don't get it.
Yeah.
They go through all of this and they get on the truck and they make the same mistake over and over and over, and they put gas in the bar oil hole for the chainsaw. Yeah. And yeah, that's a problem. But when you do it 4 times, it's a huge deal because you're corrected every time.
Yeah.
So while we all do this, you have to learn from them and move forward. All right. So let's talk about advice. We've talked about issues. We've talked about mistakes that are made and how we expected one thing and it ended up being something else. And all of these things we've talked about. So let's build this into advice. How do you avoid some of those things, or how do you mentally or emotionally prepare for what's coming better? If somebody's about to start this job, or even if they're within that first year window and they're in the same spot and they're trying to figure it out and figure out where they be and where they should be and find their place, what would you tell them as far as preparation, getting ready for that?
Well, first thing I would definitely would say is if you don't have a relationship with the good Lord, try to find it. Try to find it quick, because there's points in this job where, I mean, you may have a wife or a husband at home that, they are just awesome, man. They'll let you sit down and vent and take some of that load off that you just experienced or whatnot. And, or if you have a therapist that you talk to, that those are definitely helpful. But, I mean, there's moments where you are going to be by yourself.
Yeah.
There's not going to be your significant other's not going to be there. Your therapist's not going to be there. It's just going to be you in your head, and your brain will do some really, really messed up things to you. And,
you're right.
If you have a solid foundation in the Lord and you understand that He's always there for you, then you're not going to be alone.
That's right.
And so that's definitely at the forefront of the best advice that I could give. Other than that, we've kind of hit on a little bit. Make a routine.
Yep.
I would go even further than just, Lieutenant said, he starts his routine the morning of shift. I would go as far as saying, start getting your stuff ready, the night before.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
a little bit before you lay down. If you like to pack a lunch, or if you you got some training headed that way, that the next shift or something, get your clothes packed. Get your lunchbox ready. That way when you wake up in the morning, you're not scrambling around trying to figure out what you need for that day, and you already have it ready.
Yep.
And just get in that routine. Try to get to work early. Try to beat everybody. Try to leave, your home life, at home.
Yeah.
I know that's tough for a lot of people, and understandably so. I mean, you got to think you're only at work for a third of the year. The other two, luckily, we're blessed to, spend a lot of time with our family.
Yeah, that's right.
If we're able to, and things happen. Things happen, and families are families, and sometimes you get some bad news about, a family member or a dog or something, and you're going through some stuff, and you can't help but bring it back to the station, and hopefully, if you have an awesome crew, there's some guys on that crew that you can open up to and vent to a little bit at work about it. But, once them calls come in and the tone start dropping, you got to be able to turn. You need to leave that stuff there, because, you're going to somebody's worst day.
That's right.
And you can't sit there and, think, woe is me. This is what I got going on. And, your problem is not as big as their problem. As far as the job itself, stay active. Whether it's going to the gym, whether it's going on a run, whether it's trying to eat healthy. I would say all three. Just find a way to stay active off the job.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be, we're supposed to train. We're supposed to be some kind of physical training, an hour out of each shift. And we're allotted that hour. But, a lot of times, it could be a busy day. It could be a Monday where you're just, you're checking trucks all day. Well, then next thing you know, you get toned out to a call. Next thing you know, it's 9 o'clock at night.
That's right.
And, you haven't found time to work out or something. So, try to work out a little bit on your off days, just to, like I said, stay healthy, stay active. Find a hobby. Find something to do outside of work.
Yep.
Because there are going to be calls and shifts that are, you're going to have those bad calls that stick with you for your whole career. And, I hate to say it, I've only been in for a little over a year now, and I already have a few that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And having a hobby outside of work, that allows me to get my mind off of that call. That allows me to decompress and just be able to live and do something that I love.
Yep.
And just take solace in it.
You gotta have that outlet.
Yeah, you got to have an outlet, because if you get off work, if you run one of them calls that really just mess you up, or something. Like, and if you go straight back home from that, and if your significant other, if you can't really talk to your significant other about it, because there's some things that you just don't want to bring up.
Yeah.
Like, there's some things that we see and do and hear, and that all 5 of our senses are going through something that the general public just will never experience in their lives.
That's right.
And a lot of times, your significant other is not going to be able to understand what you're going through. And, a lot of times that hobby is a way that you can just kind of let that out. I love going to the gym. That's my big thing. A lot of the guys at work know that I love going to the gym. And, there's been several times at the gym where I'll be lifting. I'll have to either go out in the bathroom or just go out to my car and just, let it out, just cry a little bit, because it's just weighing heavy on me. but it's good. It's good to let that out. And
that's right.
I would definitely advise not to keep any of it bottled up. Like if your department has a peer support team, which luckily like mine is blessed to have one, get with some of those guys. If you don't have a peer support team, if you have a couple of guys that's been there for a while and they've ran a lot of calls that have been hard, ask them for help. Ask them, hey, this is what I'm going through. This is the call I ran. And a lot of times they can sit there and tell you, well, look, this is what I kind of went through a similar call.
Yep.
And they can kind of give you some guidance on how to deal with it and how to cope with it. And that's a big thing that a lot of people, I feel like, don't know how to do, is find a coping mechanism.
That's right.
Which I know with the fire department, a lot of it's just dark humor.
It is.
And not to say that that's wrong. I mean, honestly, I found a lot, like that's one of the best coping mechanisms for me.
Yeah.
Is dark humor. But it only that coping mechanism only goes so far.
That's true.
Because I mean, like I said, once you get back to your house, there's nobody to crack jokes with.
Yep.
And I mean, you definitely aren't cracking those types of jokes with, your family members and stuff. And
people don't understand that it's hard, and that seems to be the most critical time is when you get home.
Yep.
Because it's quiet and you're just kind of stuck with your thoughts. And we've talked about this on other episodes where you're present at home, but you're not really present at home. You're there in body, but that's really it. Something else, I thought about this while you were talking too, and this is all of my years of experience. I only really discovered this within the last 6 months. So over the last 6 months, I went through a dark time. Nothing where depression, like a big flash of depression, come over me, and I started having these terrible thoughts. It wasn't that. It's just kind of started to affect me a little bit. I found that all of these years I've been sheltering mostly my wife from details because I thought I was protecting her.
Yeah.
I found out that what that does is anytime we hear a story, we read a story or whatever, we immediately start building this movie in our head. Well, if I go home and I don't tell my wife anything, but she gets on social media and she sees that, well, this department ran this really bad call.
Yeah.
Her mind's going to fill in all these details. Whether they're right or they're wrong, she's going to fabricate things to fill in those gaps in the story.
Yep.
So I found that it is better, maybe not every specific detail, but enough information where she's not building out this story, correct or incorrect.
Yeah.
And it don't happen across the board, but with the relationship I have with my wife, that seems to be the best approach. Like I said, don't work for everybody. You've got to figure out what works for you. But if you don't say anything and you just keep all this bottled up, then that can actually make it worse.
Yeah.
Because they start trying to fill these gaps in with what may not even be accurate information.
And it starts building kind of a divide between you as well.
Yes, it sure can. Yeah.
And because I mean, they're like my wife in general. I mean, I'm blessed enough for. I mean, it is a blessing, but she's also in a first responder type role. So I mean, she luckily, and I thank the Lord that she doesn't get just the super brunt of it.
Yeah.
Like we do, but she understands.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she hears about it, and she, a lot of the reports and stuff that come back her way that she has to document. That they have a lot of information on it. So luckily, I'm blessed to be able to, if I get off shift and she's home, and she'll be like, hey, I kind of know what happened.
Yeah.
And she'll just, she don't have to say much, she'll just say, I'm sorry, or, whatnot. And she'll give me a hug. And sometimes, I mean, that's all I need.
Yeah.
But, that's that's just me. Not a lot of people get to have that blessing. So, because you want to go home and be like, all right, well, I don't want to tell my wife this, or I don't want to tell my husband this, because they don't need to hear it. It's gruesome, or it's really brutal. But like you said, with the way that the world is now, I mean, with social media and stuff, people are going to find out what happened. And if they don't find out exactly what happened, it's going to be, like you said, they're going to start trying to fill in the blanks. Another thing is a lot of what the media portrays isn't always correct either. Yeah.
I mean, even they may be getting real information and it's still not right.
And so just to like Lieutenant was saying, you don't have to tell them the details. There's a lot of stuff that you can leave out, but just to open up just a little bit about it.
Yep.
I mean, it's good for both of you, because then that will allow, your significant other to kind of realize, because there's been times where, I haven't opened up to my wife.
Yeah.
And, she expects me to come home and, do this, and this. And, if I ran a really bad call the night before, I don't want to do any of that stuff. My mind's not in that, mindset of working on the house or cutting the grass or, taking care of the dogs. And if I don't let her know, then, that's going to create an issue right there.
That's right.
But enough on the significant other stuff. As far as other advice goes, listen to the people that's been there. You could be the best rookie in rookie class that there's ever been, that's ever walked the earth. But experience is it's gonna trump everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just listening, they say it a lot, you got 2 ears and one mouth.
Yep.
And honestly, that's some of the best advice, because a lot of times, you go into a fire department and with you being a rookie, you're not going to get talked to anyways.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't even going to acknowledge you.
That's right.
And the best thing to do is just sit there and listen, soak it in, be a sponge. Whether it comes to stuff about the trucks, whether it's stuff on calls, whether it's, if it's just sitting around the dinner table.
Yep.
They ain't gonna care what kind of stories you got.
That's right.
So just soak them in, soak up everything that they have to say in. Anybody that's in your crew that's been there long, and you just soak it all in. And you'll get a lot of respect for that. Just sitting and listening. But at the end of the day, I could give you all the advice in the world as a rookie, but it's not. I don't have everything figured out.
Yep.
There's guys that they've been here 20, 30 years, and they'll tell you, they still don't have stuff figured out, and that's just how the job is.
That's right.
You wake up and you come to work, and there's not a single call that is the same.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
You could run a public assist. You got frequent flyers, friendly faces, whatever you want to call them. And I'm telling you, that even on those calls, there is something different about each and every one of them. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so, you can definitely take some of the advice that, I've given, and if not, you don't have to, but just know that, you could have the best game plan in the world, and it's still not going to be...
Still going to go sideways.
It's going to go sideways.
I think all of the advice that you've given is awesome, and our department right now has 6 recruits in rookie school.
Yep.
And I hope they listen to this, because it is an insight into that first year from somebody who has just lived it. And I think your advice is spot on. I think it's perfect. So let's lighten it up a little bit.
All right.
So, totally unrelated questions. What artist or music are you into right now?
Shoot, right now I'm an Ella fella.
Oh, okay.
Ella Langley?
I've heard the name, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm real big into her right now. We were out there hose testing, what was it, last week or the week before? And, we had the speaker out there, and I think we only played Ella.
Yeah.
Actually, so it's not just me.
Okay.
But it's a couple of the guys, and but yeah, I'm digging some Ella Langley right now. One of my bigger artists that I like to listen to, Noah Kahn. He just came out with an album, and it is phenomenal. It's one of those, it'll pull at your heartstrings though.
Good deal. So, I'll check it out.
Definitely them two, and then I got my gym playlist that I like to listen to. It's got a whole bunch of divorced dad rock on it.
I got you.
Like that, but
all right.
But that's it.
I'm into Christian Davis and Ben Fuller right now. Christian artists, but that's kind of where I'm at. So, what about podcasts? What are you into right now as far as podcaster go?
I can't really say too much on podcasts. I have been listening to some audiobooks recently though.
Yeah.
There's one. It's a saga. It's got 6 books out right now. The 7th one is coming out this year, which I'm super excited about. I'm about to finish up on the first book. It's called Red Rising.
Okay. By
Pierce Brown, and I've listened to a couple audiobooks in the past. My wife's put me on some really, really good ones. And I wasn't much of a book reader / listener before then, but she really kicked it off for me. I've really enjoyed just the universes and the fantasy and all the fiction that I've been reading. I just that's another really good, hobby that I've picked up that kind of, gets me out of my head as far as work goes. But yeah, man, I've been listening to that recently, and it has been awesome.
Good deal.
So it's definitely man. It gets your testosterone up. Okay. Like, it's one of those books, man. It's cool. It's
good deal. I mentioned last podcast with Captain Swansea. I listened to Hayden, Alabama podcast, and it's small town. A lot of it's farmers, and but clean podcast. I like it. Not necessarily podcast, but John Lovell, Warrior Poet Society. I listen to that a lot. He's come a long way. So, one more question.
Okay.
What's your favorite Bible verse and why?
I wouldn't say it's a one specific Bible verse. I would probably say it's a chapter. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If you don't know it, it's the chapter of love in the Bible.
Okay.
Reason being why is because when me and my wife we were in a pretty low spot in our relationship, and it honestly seemed like things were about to turn out for the worse. We really, really leaned on that chapter.
Yeah.
And through that chapter and through the grace of God and just giving our marriage to Jesus.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't believe that without that chapter, I don't think that we would still be together right now.
Yeah, I got you.
And so for my marriage to be as amazing as it is now and as solid on the foundation that it is, I would have to give that credit to 1 Corinthians chapter 13.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I've been on Psalms 51 verse 1 for a while. I can't say that it is my favorite Bible verse, but it's what's been on my mind and my heart for a long time. And there's 6 words at the very beginning of that verse, and it is, "Have mercy upon me, O God."
Yep.
That's the 6 words that get me. David's writing this, and David was a man after God's own heart. The Lord loved him, but he was a terrible person. He done terrible.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, he done terrible stuff. Murder and all kind of stuff. Like, it was terrible. But in that verse, like, I can almost hear him crying out when he says, "Oh God." And I think about how many times we've been in that point. We know what's right and we know what we're supposed to be doing, but we still do stuff we shouldn't. And then we have to come back.
Yeah.
And I can, like I said, I can almost hear him crying out, "Have mercy on me." Like I said, it may not be my favorite, but it's been on my heart a lot. So that's good stuff. We covered a lot today. This is our longest podcast to date.
You did say I was a talker.
Yeah, I did say we started with you're a talker. But it has been jam up information. And I think if people will, especially new guys, if they'll heed that advice, I think it'll be good for them. First year, that's what sets the tone for everything else. We build that foundation in that first year. And it's not just about what we learn, but it's how we approach it and our mindset and how we prepare for things. That's the part that matters more than most people even realize. So, Hollis, I appreciate you coming on today. I enjoyed you starting your career with me a year ago, or a little over a year ago. I enjoyed having you on our crew. You were an asset to that. But I appreciate you coming on today. I've enjoyed your insight. I hope we can do this again in the future.
Yeah, I'd be up for it for sure. And man, that first year was awesome, man. I'm definitely glad that I had you as my lieutenant for my rookie year. And I honestly, looking back on it now, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. Thank you for listening to Wind the Q, the stories behind the sirens. Until next time, stay safe, take care of your crew, take care of yourself.
Boots hit the floor.